let me begin by thanking our organizers for once again making this forum a part of the conversation that moves from city to city year after year in search of that elusive idea that we can still, as a global community, reach an agreement on how to act collectively rather than in competition with one another or perhaps even in conflict with one another in addressing climate change.
On behalf of the President of COP19, the Ministry of the Environment of Poland, Marcin Korolec, I would like to welcome you to Warsaw and encourage your active participation in the Sustainable Innovation Forum, offering opportunities to converse about mitigation and adaptation technologies and their contribution towards a low-emission future.
This forum offers interesting opportunities to facilitate public-private collaborations and to transfer knowledge to catalyze innovation. I would like to thank Climate Action and UNEP for organizing this event. The economist John Maynard Keynes is attributed as saying that the difficulty lies not so much in developing new ideas as in escaping from the old ones. So, in order to accelerate the transition to an inclusive green economy, we must indeed escape the old ideas, that we can have an economic model that is based on infinite growth and that we have infinite resources at our disposal.
And what we're talking about here is making that investment greener and more efficient, all of it. It's not just a narrow particular slice that you call green, although there will of course be renewable investments and so on. We have to think of the way in which that whole investment story works, and that's the big perspective that we need to have.
In our work, we discover that business is crying out to engage, it's crying out for the policy frameworks, and we also discover that the policymakers want business to play a more proactive part in helping support them in develop coherent policy frameworks. We need to get the finance to follow the economics and the policy and the science. And so in the coming year, our work is going to focus on how we engage energy businesses in helping the finance sector to become more engaged in clean technology and infrastructure finance through helping them to build capacity, which we have discovered through our extensive interactions with the finance community, the energy community and the policymakers.
Local authority, private sector working together to solve a problem around making accessibility and good mass transit available.
"50 years ago and 50 years later is going to have a significantly different impact. And that is partly where you also explained the magnitude of destruction on land. So here we are, beginning of the 21st century, a global community of nations struggling to negotiate a global response of, in many ways, an unprecedented magnitude and transformational implications. It is perhaps no surprise that we are struggling, particularly on the issue of equity. Who should move first? Who has greater responsibility? Because all of us will face just unthinkable bills at the moment in terms of not acting. But even to act now does require investment.
That next year in Peru, we intend to give all the importance and support to the participation of the private sector in the conference, because the key themes of climate change that should be seen as a very important condition for the future development of the world is not only something that is happening around, that is a new component in projects, or just is an additional thing that should worry about. It's a complete structural condition for the future development of energy, business, agriculture, security, and everything that we can imagine.